I have organized these points because I really wish someone had told me these things when I was in my 20s. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, this is Kim Jae-sung's Problem Solving. Today, I share 15 career tips that 20-somethings often overlook. I have put together 15 pieces of career advice that you truly need to know. The number of tips has increased quite a lot, right? The content is much richer now. Actually, today's topic is I have organized these points because I really wish someone had told me these things when I was in my 20s. I hope you enjoy watching this. Whether you are in your early 20s, mid to late 20s, or early 30s, these points will surely be relevant to you. I believe these points will be applicable to you, so please do not stop the video and watch until the end. First, I will share the first point. You might find the first piece of advice quite surprising. It is this. It is to take care of your appearance. You might find it ironic that I am talking about appearance while discussing career advice, but it is actually very important. What do you think is the most influential factor when you are first noticed or when you are finally selected? It is charm. Pure charm. One of the most significant aspects of that charm that we can actively improve is our physical appearance. I am not saying you need to be incredibly handsome or have a sculpted body like a celebrity just to improve your appearance. That is not what I am trying to say. However, at the very least, just as much as you value and work hard on your qualifications, if you at least work hard to cherish and groom yourself, that will definitely help, especially when you are young. Being in your 20s or early 30s is a very young age, so this is truly beneficial. Therefore, by working out regularly, eating nutritious food, and simply keeping your appearance clean and well-groomed, you will find yourself getting many more and much better opportunities. This is a crucial point, so please keep it in mind. I would like to share a specific case from my own experience. I was a student back then, and I was around 25 years of age. I was in my 20s. I had founded and was managing a presentation research club. To get support for the club, I applied to the school's basic education center. I saw the notice, carefully found the website, and put a lot of effort into writing and submitting the application. However, there was no response. After 2 weeks went by without a word, I felt something was off, so I decided to visit them directly. There was a man in charge, and I asked him why our club's application process was not moving forward. He replied in a very blunt tone, saying he would get back to us later, but I noticed he had not even opened the email I sent. I expressed my frustration, saying, "You haven't even read our email, and it has been 2 weeks, so how are we supposed to wait?" He started raising his voice at me, telling me to leave quickly, and it became quite a scene. Suddenly, a professor came out of the Basic Education Center director's office and asked why it was so loud. He tried to dismiss it, but I spoke up, saying I had submitted an application to affiliate my club with the center, and they had not even reviewed it. I told them I thought this was unreasonable and came to see how things were progressing. So, they gave me a time to come back and explain why we should be affiliated. They gave me a chance to explain why we should be affiliated. The person turned out to be the director of the Basic Education Center. I prepared very diligently, putting a lot of effort into the materials. I decided I needed to look as neat and professional as possible, so I wore a suit. The director was a woman who appeared to be in her 60s. She appeared to be in her 60s, and I brought a bouquet of flowers that I had carefully and beautifully wrapped. I knocked and entered, and she was charmed. She was already won over by my attitude and the genuine sincerity of a student going to such lengths. How lovely it must have looked. Honestly, I don't think she even looked at the presentation details closely, even though I prepared so hard. In the end, she spoke to me in a very soft voice, and then looked at the person I had the argument with earlier. She looked sharply at the person I had the dispute with. Register them now. She said that. I had prepared the content well, but I also realized that doing my best to show sincerity to that adult by wearing the most professional suit I could and bringing a bouquet of flowers was incredibly important. It was the moment that made me realize that. So I tell my friends around me, it is really not a big deal. You do not need to dress in incredibly flashy or expensive clothes. Just keep it neat and tidy, regardless of your gender. Just doing that ensures you will not be at a disadvantage. I was an engineering student, and the fashion of engineering students is not exactly pretty or stylish. Even if I just groomed myself a little, I received a lot of attention. But it does not matter if you are not an engineering student. If there is someone around you who dresses well and neatly, try to look at their style and ask them for advice on how to dress. This is one of the important things for developing your career that you might not have considered. I have shared this point. This is the first one, and the second is this. This time, let's talk about credentials. I have personally reviewed countless resumes and monitored many assistants during the interview process. I have done that kind of work. Here too, you see, there are people who are certification collectors, but I think this is honestly a pointless endeavor. I want to say that. Of course, depending on the situation, I know you get certifications thinking you should at least do something, but actually getting many certifications. And those that the company requires, like a TOEIC score or an OPIC score, are necessary because the company specified them. But other than those doing this and that just to have them does not add much value. I think it is almost zero. It just shows that you have them, but I have rarely seen it add any real value. But the problem is this. It does not add much value, but you spend a lot of money and time to obtain them. That is the problem. It is better to use that time for other experiences. It is better to try something that yields more results. It is better to do an internship, even if it is unpaid, for example, than to get a Microsoft certification or something similar. One internship experience can be much better. I want to say that having even one internship experience is much better than having none, even if it is at a small company. Many people think they are building specs, but they are often building meaningless ones. So getting many certifications without direction is actually just something you do because you are anxious. I hope you remember that. You should build credentials with direction so that you can gradually build your career. The third point is that you need to know what level you are at. And you shouldn't just guess. You need to actually evaluate yourself. Evaluation is I will tell you how to do it. First, in the group you meet frequently, what kind of person do you want to become? There will be competencies you need to have to become that person. You need to know if you can do well when compared to the people around you. or if I have more outstanding parts or where I am lacking. You need to know these things. And after passing this stage, if you judge that you are okay in the group you are in, I think you should go to the top group you can reach. I think it is good to go to the top group you can directly access. There you should also evaluate yourself by comparing yourself to the people around you. This is really important. If I tell you what actually happened to me, in my case, I went to engineering school and studied computer science. I wanted to go to computer science for a long time. Before I was 10, my dream was to be a developer. And at that time, I heard a lot of people around me say I was good at computers. But actually, I had the dream of being a developer. And I went to the university I wanted, but there were too many people who were better than me. And I was very frustrated. But that does not mean I had no development skills. That was not the case. I did 2 graduation projects. The first one was in the days before AI, when you put in a blog or article original text, if you just put in the address, it would analyze the Korean morphemes inside and drag the text from 5% to 100%. I even built a summarizer back then. Smartphones didn't really exist, so I used a PDA with GPS. I used triangulation, combining Wi-Fi and other device data to pinpoint my location. I actually built apps similar to Foursquare for check-ins based on that location. So my coding skills weren't zero. Even so, when I reflected on my career, I realized I wouldn't be exceptional compared to others. I had huge, useless dreams, so I made up my mind to change my career path. Then I thought about what I was good at, and I realized I could write reasonably well. I also seemed to be a decent speaker, so when I tested this against the engineering students around me, I saw I got quite good results. But I didn't stop there. I wondered among the groups I could meet, which group was best at presenting and which was best at writing. I took classes in business for presentations and humanities for writing. Luckily, I got first place in all those classes, even at Seoul National University. I thought it was meaningful to be first in the best group, so I decided to pursue a career related to this. What could that be? I started thinking about consulting, where things flow logically. I, in fact, did some self-verification before entering university. I was called a prodigy, but that wasn't everything. And even after that, I periodically checked myself, wondering if I really had the skills, and went through a verification process. In that process, I was able to fine-tune what I was good at, which allowed me to do strategic work for a long time. Of course, when I went, it was still hard. Just because it fits my aptitude doesn't mean I'm always the best or always successful, but at least it's an opportunity to know where my talents lie. In my case, my father is a painter, but I really can't draw. I have no manual dexterity. Even the common turtle or paper cranes, I can't fold them. I have no dexterity. Instead of pouring my time into this, when I compare myself to others, I need self-reevaluation to see if this is suitable for a professional career and with people around me. I've talked about how important it is to judge how much better I am than them and what skills I lack. This was the third point. The fourth point is that I think this applies from your teens to your 30s and 40s. Have many experiences. I hope you have many diverse experiences. That way, when you do something, among those many experiences, something will click. You might think great things are planned and prepared from start to finish. That is not the case at all. The anecdotes I tell are nothing, but even the great anecdotes of great people and huge companies start from something trivial. They start from a small beginning. You know Mark Zuckerberg, who made Facebook? Of course, he acquired Instagram, but Mark Zuckerberg, do you know why he first made Facebook? Yes. He made it because he wanted to peek at other people's private lives in the Harvard dorm. This playful start became a global company. In my case, since I was young, usually the president or a scientist, back then boys, usually had those hopes, or an athlete. Nowadays it's a YouTuber. But I wrote that, and since I was young, my dream was to be a developer or programmer. The reason is that when I was young, my uncle, who worked in computer operations, took me to the server room at that time. He took me there, and the server was so big, and I had that experience. My uncle said, Jae-sung, this hardware can be made in our country, but there is no technology to make software. When he said that, I don't know why, but as a child under 10, I cried and vowed that I wanted to make it so our country could do it with our own strength. From then on, I thought about becoming a programmer and developer. Then I changed my career to consulting. Earlier, I clearly said consulting uses logic, so let's go into consulting. But there was actually an opportunity before that. When I was a sophomore in college, so at 21, I had a very close friend at school, and this guy suddenly, I didn't even know, said, hey, some consulting firm is having an information session. They're coming. He said, let's go check it out together. So I just went because I had time. But in the auditorium, there were so many people, and in front there were these very cool people, wearing black suits, looking very smart, speaking very coolly. They talked about what consulting is and what strategy is. I really liked wearing suits, and since I was a bit of a coward, it looked so cool. So I wanted to have a job like that, and that's how I eventually started my consulting career. In a way, I sometimes tell my friend, you bad guy, because of you, I got into this path. But in a way, he created the opportunity that made me do this work for a long time. He is a very grateful friend. So whatever work you do, achieving great things, when you look at it as a result, it becomes a very big thing, but the start is very small. I hope you remember that it starts with a very small thing. You need to remember that so you can realize why you are having diverse experiences. That's why you can realize it yourself. So don't just repeat the same things. Have really diverse experiences. For example, going alone. On an overseas trip could be a way, or doing a really hard part-time job could be a way, or hackathons or various experiences. Really anything you can do. Try various experiences. Among those experiences, you don't know where the opportunity that will build you a really good career will appear. So I'll mention that I recommend this. This time, rather than career, it's a tip for becoming rich. You know ETFs, right? Stock-linked ones. From now on, if you've seen this, even 1001 is good to start right now. Even 1001 is fine. So invest the money you can invest from now on and try doing it for 10 years. I regret that no one gave me this advice. If someone had given me this advice, I could have developed more so that regret still remains. So I really want to recommend this to you, whether it's domestic stocks or US stocks, that's for you to decide. I tell people around me that US stocks are relatively better when considering dollar value and such. That's your freedom. But anyway, get recommendations for good index-linked products and consistently contribute to them. I hope you do. Start with a small amount, And later, when you get a job and actually earn money or have more money, increase it little by little. By doing that, when you've done that for 10 years, then those in their 20s will be in their early to mid 30s. By then, the money you've saved will be enough to guide you, and you will have enough money that your choices won't be shaken. I'm telling you this because it's really important. I really hope you try it. The sixth point is work hard. Work hard. You have to work hard. It's very simple. If you just work hard, the possibility of you living the life you want becomes very high. Honestly, 9 out of 10 people, or 90%, don't work hard. People don't work hard. And ask yourself coldly, am I really a person who lives hard? How many people can really say yes to that? Truly, 80 to 90% don't work hard. If you just work hard, you are already beating this 80 to 90%. And shall I be a bit more honest? Even among the remaining 10%, about half, so 5%, pretend to work hard. They just pretend to study hard, pretend to learn something, pretend to experience things. Then what distinguishes this pretending from not pretending? It's consistency. People who are not consistent and touch this and that seem to work hard, but that's not it. So people who consistently work hard on something are really rare. And if you live your life like that, and if the years accumulate and a few years pass, you are really unconditionally in the top 20%, you will inevitably become the person who gets as close as possible to where you want to be. This is a really important fact, but it takes a long time, so everyone doesn't do it. Achieving something always takes a long time. That is why I hope you remember that you must work hard. The seventh point is, I hope you remember this too. I told you to work hard, so most people think like this. How can I keep sprinting? It's hard. That is not what I mean. When I say work hard, I do not mean running at 100 kilometers per hour all the time. Look at soccer. In soccer, players sometimes walk, sometimes they jog, but they also sprint. Just remember that. Think of your daily life as jogging lightly, and when things get too hard, you can walk. It is okay to walk a little, but when you truly need to do your best, you must sprint to achieve your goals. That is the secret to growing your career. You sprint at times, but you keep running steadily. This is how I lead my life. Sometimes I walk. Another important point is to never stop or give up. It is best not to stop. You might have to, but the shorter that time is, the closer you will be to success. I will tell you that. Now, this is the eighth point. The world is unfair. Some are born rich, some are smart, and some get great support. But accept it. Bill Gates said this before. The world is inherently unfair. Some are born handsome and make a fortune. Some are born beautiful and make a fortune. But do you think they did not work hard? They work incredibly hard. Of course, working hard does not guarantee you will become an idol or a celebrity. And doing your best does not guarantee that you will live as well as a conglomerate chairman. But if you do nothing, your life will not improve or grow. I call this highway traffic. No matter how fast I am going, there are cars ahead of me and behind me. I am not in last place, but I am not in first place either. Also, if I do not step on the gas, the chance to close the gap disappears. That is right. You must think about this. What you can do now is increase your acceleration. Stepping on the gas is what you must do. However, if you do not step on the gas, you will never catch up. I will say it again. What I can do is try to increase my speed, to increase my acceleration. Then my speed will increase, right? Even if it does, can I catch up to the person in front? Maybe not. They might go even faster. But if I do not even do that, then I will obviously be left behind, let alone grow. Please remember that. Let us do what we can. That is, will eventually build up into a truly excellent career. Please remember that. Please remember that this is an attitude you can only have when you accept the unfairness. Originally, the world is unfair. For example, if I were born in North Korea, could I communicate with you on YouTube? I need to remember that I am in a good enough environment. It is necessary to think that I am doing well enough just by being in this environment. Please remember this. Next is the 9th point. Do not be impatient. Impatience ruins many things, and the problem is that ruining things repeatedly becomes a habit. Anyone can be impulsive, and everyone wants to grow fast. Young and rich is great, but it might not happen. If you are too impatient, you do extreme things. For example, you borrow all kinds of money because you heard coins or stocks are doing well, and if it works, that is fine. But if it does not, you will fall hard. Remember that it takes a long time to recover after a big fall. So, going slowly but steadily is almost always better than trying to go fast and failing over and over. Please remember that. There is no pulse that beats consistency. At that moment, that pulse might look amazing. But as time passes, the person who went slowly can beat that pulse, and it is hard for that pulse to remain. Please remember that as well. This is the 10th point. Save some money for yourself, for your own luxury. Luxury does not mean designer bags or things like that. I want you to save money for a small indulgence. So for 6 months or a year, save up a few 100,000 to 1 million won, and then spend it in a refreshing way. I do not mean to just waste it on anything, but to spend it on something meaningful. If you want to know why people spend so generously on high-end culture, I hope you experienced this process once. Spend the money you earned with your own effort in a refreshing way. If I could give one piece of advice to people in their 20s, it would be to save money, go to a luxury hotel, stay for one night, and enjoy the services as if they were natural. It is the same. This. You should not just think it is too expensive. If you experience it once, your perspective will open up. The reason I say go to a hotel is because it is the cheapest. For example, it could be flying business class, but for 500,000 to 1 million won, there is nothing that beats a hotel for that kind of experience. If there is something else that gives more value, you can do that. But while doing it, act as if you are someone who has always received such services. It might be obvious, but try to act that way. When you are young, you do not have money. Of course, if your parents are rich, you can live comfortably. But most people, including me, find it hard to have money when young. At that time, the act of using the money you save to have those experiences will act as a step to grow you. I want to say again that I hope you try this. Now, this is the 11th point. People who fail, people whose lives slowly fall apart, spend money on playing. They spend this first and save the rest. Try the opposite. Just do the opposite. I want you to set aside money for growth, study, and investment first, aside from living expenses which are necessary. From the rest, set aside a certain portion, 10% or 5%. I will definitely use this money for growth, whether for lectures or conferences. Whether you buy books or read, it is all good. Make sure to create and keep those habits. If you sustain this for a long time, you will change a lot. Remember this, there is no such thing as spending money recklessly and then growing with what is left. Time is not something you do when you have time, it is something you make. Similarly, capital is something that if you do not set aside, no one will say, oh, I have money left for growth, so I will use it for that. You just meet friends, go out for drinks and spend it there. Remember this, and take a portion of the money you spend each month to invest in your self-development and growth. It does not matter what it is. I hope you do that. I will say this now. This is the 12th point. This is very important. Life seems like it will be decided by one event, but think about it. Not many things are turned upside down by one event. Of course, there can be serious car accidents or illnesses, but excluding those very few things, the rest is actually a little behind. But if you work really hard, you can turn it around. So singer Park Jin-young once said this, that he thought if he just got into a good college, he would be a winner in life. But after that, winners and losers were divided again, and the world became too complex. But this is already quite an old story. These days, while studying well is important, people with other talents are becoming much more famous and making more money. Fame and money are not necessarily the only measures of everything, but they are still very important values. We all want to live wealthily. So even if you mess up one thing, do not give up and say you cannot do it. And even if there is a big gap, you can come up by practicing and working hard. A very close acquaintance graduated from a local school, but he worked hard for over 10 years. And actually only top university graduates were accepted. But he is now proudly working at one of the top 3 consulting firms that usually reject everyone else. He has a very high position. If you do not give up and work hard for what you really want, you can achieve it. Do not think that because you made one mistake, you are finished. Please remember that. Life is a long game. It is much longer than you think. So please remember that there is always an opportunity to make up for it. And also this time, I'm talking about a matter of choice. There are times when you have to make a choice and times when your environment changes completely. For example, when going from high school to university, the environment changes completely. Like when doing an internship in college and through that internship, what I do next. Or when you get a job somewhere or start a business, there are times like this. This is when a period comes where your life changes significantly. And in this changing period, as I mentioned earlier, that is when you really use all your speed. You step on the gas pedal, and by stepping on the gas, you must grasp the best possible choice you can get. You must remember that this is how your life can go much more smoothly and comfortably. Although you can reverse it later through various other things, but I am saying that doing it well the first time is the most important. Therefore, a career is easy to flow from top to bottom. But when going from bottom to top, you have to suffer huge losses. So I hope you remember that too. We are designing a good career. So we are talking about this. So please remember it. And when you change, when that transition time comes, you must do your best to grasp the highest value you can obtain. and try to hold on to it. I hope you remember this. This is the 14th one. There will be times when something appears in the world and becomes famous, and everyone around you starts using it. You must definitely do that. I hope you try it from a productive perspective, not just consumption. YouTube was like that, and AI is like that now. At one time when YouTube first came out, who did it? But those who took the lead already gained huge wealth, although they worked very hard. The difficulty compared to now was relatively low, and they were able to gain huge wealth, many subscribers and other fame. How difficult is YouTube now? It is a red ocean. I am working hard, but seeing the number of subscribers increase, I realized that increasing subscribers and in the past, tens of thousands of views were nothing. But I am realizing that even getting a few thousand views is a really great thing. It has become a red ocean. Among the future dreams that children want to have, out of 10 people, more than half say they want to be a YouTuber. But these things keep coming. New technology and new civilization will keep coming while you are living. And especially when you are still younger and more youthful. If you accept these things as quickly as possible and get ahead, you can create a very large gap. I want to tell you that. The thing that is appropriate for that right now is AI. As I know, many people in our country are using AI, and they are already using it a lot. They are using it, but it is said that 90% of these people are using it for free. You mentioned earlier, allocate some money to invest in growth. So, try using at least one AI for a fee. It does not matter which one. Try using at least one for a fee so that I can use features that are not provided for free or more advanced features, which will later reduce the regret of saying, I should have used AI hard back then. This will reduce regret. Just as it was much better to do YouTube 10 minutes before than I am doing now, if I refine something with AI now and create something, or if I can get help from this AI for the work I am doing, the gap becomes tremendously different. When everyone is just running, someone who appears riding a horse would be the fastest, right? But if someone appears riding a supercar, this person would be faster. This is it. This is when new technology and new culture appear. I hope you remember that it is the difference between someone who tries it and someone who does not. This is the 15th one. This is really important, so I hope you will definitely practice it starting right now from tomorrow. You must consistently do one exercise. I hope you do. Here, one means you only need to do one at a time. So you can do the same thing for 10 years or 15 years, of course. I am doing weight training like that, but it is okay even if it is not that. Keep one exercise consistently. You can do yoga, you can play golf, it could be swimming, it could be tennis, it could be bowling, anything. One is to make exercise a part of your life. Definitely. So make a routine of going at least 3 or 4 times a week, no matter what. Set it up. This will really make you change. Some people, even if they are just over 30, already have a belly and look lifeless. But some people are over 40 and 50 and still look lively and live really passionately. This comes from this consistent exercise. This is something that everyone, not just me, talks about. There is a former model from Singapore, and since that person is a model, of course their asset is their body, so that might be the case, but they have an appearance like someone in their early to mid-30s, even in their 60s. Moreover, their body is so cool. This person is in their 60s. This person has various routines, and although this person manages themselves more tightly, they do not skip exercise. Many people who live very healthily do not think that there is almost anyone who lives healthily without doing it. So if you exercise from now on, it is very important for you to live healthily. And it is also a scientifically proven fact that your physical aging comes slowly, so I hope you definitely do it. Another thing is to definitely have one productive activity that you do consistently. This can also change. It could be writing, or it could be making content like I do. It does not matter what it is, but try to consistently do something that is production, not consumption or experience. That even if it changes, if you try it consistently for a few years, 1 or 2 years, eventually when that produced thing accumulates, it will become your portfolio and a result that brands you. I hope you remember that. In my case, in 2007, I created a presentation research group at school, and it has already been 20 years. After that, in 2012, I did not let go of that hobby and published a book, and I have been publishing revised editions until now, and I still have endless requests for corporate lectures on presentation. Of course, I have problems with solving or synthesis strategies, but the endless topic is presentation. This is because I have been consistently honing this topic since then, so I was able to have this professionalism. And there were times when various industries recognized me and called me as a lecturer. The fact that you do one thing consistently can be a task of creating your portfolio and a job that brands you. I hope you remember that. This is the last one. Since I'm talking about your 20s, you are young, right? You are young. So when there are good people around you, go find those seniors. Go and ask for help. Then most of these seniors will not be bothered. There are people who worry that they might be bothered or rejected. If it is a senior-junior relationship that you know directly, then it is even more so. And even if it is not, if you look at the work that person is walking with sparkling eyes and say, I want to have a coffee chat, you will not be rejected easily. I hope you remember that you will not be rejected easily. Actually, regarding my books, my lectures, or the activities I am doing, if someone contacts me with interest, I do not reject them easily. So, I usually make it so that I can go out and have a meal or a cup of coffee together, but I'm not a famous person, so that might be the case, but among the people around you, if there are people who are walking the path you want to go first, I hope you do that. Actually, I also thought I wanted to do consulting in my 20s, and I did not even know what consulting was. So there was a senior from high school and university, and I contacted them abruptly. And said, I am so curious about consulting. So once, I want to meet and ask. I did that in my 20s. And then that person said, you are a cheeky kid. And then told me to come to the place where they were doing a project, bought me a meal, gave me a lot of advice. And even after that, they helped me a lot in my career. They are a really cool senior. So I did that in my 20s too. I recommend you try that too. And taking this opportunity, to that cool senior who helped me design my career well, I will say thank you once again. Everyone, today I have talked about a lot of content. How was it? If you watched this video today, I hope you do not forget and definitely practice the things that might apply to you. Just listening and saying, oh, it is a good video, there is nothing in the world that changes by doing that. This is exactly the characteristic of people who only feel like they are being intellectually or self-developmentally motivated after watching something and end it there. And I hope you remember that. I will continue to help you with good information. And I promise to visit you with content that will be helpful. And I will end today's video with this. Everyone, thank you.